Okay. We're going to just do a quick message because, first of all, like, let's make this about the big news, which is this has been offered the Ace of Cups. I feel like it's only in our own becoming, because I'm seeing the lotus flower here. It's only in our own unraveling do we get elevated to a consciousness where we can see the where the sun, the dawn really comes, what that really ignites. You know what I mean? It's like you'd have to be able, like, I'm just imagining maybe I'm on a different lotus, maybe I'm on a different flower and that's what the perspective is, but just taking this photo here of where this is. It's almost as if this is the cup in which all creation comes from, you know? And I think this is going to end up being one of those really pivotal times where I just want to honor myself in how I have guided and moved with my emotional body, and how the tests of this time have actually really helped me to be far more discerning, and also just like to emotionally regulate so that I'm a little bit more stable as I go on to like really need to help stabilize other people. Like, I'm going to be able to use this like sort of tactical application of the powers that I've come into to assist other people, and not by any ways play like some sort of crutch, but be a space of inspiration. So it's always movement, you know what I mean, when they're in your space. But this is huge, you know. This is being gifted the vision of this. This is like if you know, you go on a trip and you like a mental trip, and you see, you know, the source of it all, right? You connect to that. This is the opportunity to connect to how it's all really going to be connected, and how intentional every single thing really is, you know, and by precise alignment and design. So when you really can like live and embody that level of faith, I'm just feeling like that's where this collective really is. I know that's where I am, where it's like I've just believed that wholeheartedly and therefore moved from that space. Because right now I feel like I'm being guided to share this with you, one, but also I'm just being guided by like I'll be making a decision like to do or not to do. Maybe it's like to connect with someone or to not connect with someone, and I'll sort of gauge my decision, I guess, by which outcome leads to the total uninhibited fresh start. Because this is a fresh start. Like, this was painful in some ways, but the pacing was so important because you're making a giant, like the giant surface area foundation. You're leveling out whatever land, you know, surveying, scaling how big that perimeter really needs to be to kind of hold this future empire that you're building. So yeah, it takes time, and I think we went through the hardest part because it was like kind of like a discovery and a charting and understanding kind of place, and so it was kind of a lot of like stop and go and course correction and things like that. But I just feel like as we were propelling through and sort of mapping this all out, we could always know that, you know, at this time, at this new beginning, we should be trying to remain as free as we possibly can. And there's something to be said about also, just because you have connections, not entitling you to pin yourself into bondage or to define a connection as a living thing that you are informed by in the present. You can only know the nature of a relationship in your moment, because that would be truth, right? The truth lies in the present. And I think this is where we get still enough, I'm hearing, because the water is so still, where these flowers are growing, these deep, you know, watery, and look, like, this is also like, it's so funny because, you know, at my previous job, they would always make you come in and write a 6-word story of your life. And I was just at a place where obviously the darkness was prevailing, but I remember saying something like, can't wait to take a breath. And that was my 6-word story. And when I think about where I am right now, that's what I just heard. Like, when you were coming and you're like, why am I being dragged through the darkness of this swampy vine, uncomfortable, like everything is triggering, it's gross, it's slimy, it's, you know, there's gators, there's danger. But then you come above the swamp and you're like, and this is like the breath you get to take when your lungs expand with air, and then the sight you see is just like, oh shit, like, that is beautiful. And you realize that you were just in all of the triumph, like these gorgeous flowers, they get to be presented to the outside world because of the roots that they've developed and grown. And so if we are to be and embody our lives like the lotus flower, we are going to continually shed and unveil all these layers, which then grow into long, sort of vines under the surface. But above the surface, we're able to cultivate this beautiful, majestic, still portrait of the true nature and direction of creation. So it's like, this is that taking a breath moment where you're able to look around, and certain stuff you're realizing quickly because you just like broke water. Like, you're like, oh yeah, like that's getting blasted out. Stuff that maybe you wouldn't have even really thought like I would have needed to like blast out is getting blasted out. Why is that? That's because, you're realizing like some of these people, places, and things, some of this past, and the past is like literally anything that's not right now, not this present moment, right? Anything that takes you away from that is showing you what it is. And when you think about it, it's equal parts. It's equal parts you having to understand what has happened, what has transpired, because there's often information you don't receive when you are just going through the experience. So there's always a connection to the past, because the past is how we derive, it's the derivative of wisdom, it's the square root of wisdom. So of course, your past will always be woven right back into the fabric of life, absolutely. But at the same time, we really want to identify, we want to get the correct, proper wisdom that would actually benefit us in our now moment and in our futures. Because without that proper understanding, the Five of Cups, and that's all the Five of Cups is, when you actually do need to face what has happened, because you can just keep, this is like, I just got out of this is like the kind of person that you go on a date with that's like, oh yeah, I just got out of this super messy relationship and it was like 2 months ago. And you're like, right, and we're trying to explore this. This is where the past can really, the way, I mean, the fact that these cups had to be spilled, and like, that's a waste of resource. Like, obviously it's a pink juice. So maybe it's a wine, maybe it's, I don't know, whatever, but it's like, it's a spilled, moment, and it looks like, kind of like that wasn't intended that wasn't the intention here. So because these had to be spilled, like, this is what, but this can also be a really empowering state where it's like, I know that these were spilled. Like, I am not, sometimes that's the thing when you're in a negative or a toxic environment for yourself and you don't want to, there you are, worried too much about other people and not even your experience. But to be honest, it's like acknowledging that there was a problem there. Like, I see how my brain has such abandonment issues that I really didn't get people being straight up or revealing their hand or being honest with me at all about their selves, their past, about what was going on, and that made me really uncomfortable. And they made a lot of decisions in my life and made me believe that it was informed by certain things, but it really wasn't, you know what I mean? And so when shit got really real, it kind of blew up in everyone's face. But it's up to me to not be the person that doesn't have good boundaries and can't say, like, because most people want to skip over the Five of Cups. Nobody wants to have to sit there and look at the mess that was made, because we've obviously moved on. It's not even like you have the sadness. This isn't even the worst. Like, I don't even think I feel like the Four of Cups is the boredom of it, when you don't even know what the next thing coming is. The Five of Cups is better because you have your new thing and now you're able to actually face it. It's when you get support from the universe to now be able to look back at the past and know exactly what happened correctly, because you'll understand where people did you wrong. You'll understand why God kept you from certain people. It's not some big mystery. The Five of Cups is the place where you realize why you were removed from certain people. It's the part of experience that you couldn't possibly know necessarily as you were going. You get to hear and connect with spirit. This is the connection to spirit. This is where we feel spirit, because of the way that we are able to look at that situation and process and know things we did not consciously know just by going on and getting things naturally presented to us. We may not have known certain characters, certain traits, certain people are not good influences for us. Ultimately, like, yourself, and when people don't know anything about you, and when people who don't know anything about you want to make the most decisions for you. I think we're going to feel a lot of that, right? During this energy is like, how could, like, I think you're going to be asked, Uranus is going to shake you up, because Uranus teaches all its kids, aka Aquarians, as we were preparing for this age, Uranus said, how could they know? How could they know who you are? How could they know what you want? What's best for you if they don't know you? That is going to be something we're going to see at a collective level. That's what we're going to see at a very micro individual level. In your interpersonal relationships, you'll realize, because you've ascended, because there are parts of you that are fundamentally changed, as in it already happened. Hello, welcome to the new you, welcome to the new paradigm. You're going to realize, like, that everything, even if I have been telling myself this is the way something is for 900 years, this awareness is the kind of awareness you can't undo. Meaning, if they never knew the real me, then they probably, like, how could they love it? How could they know what it is? How could they move on behalf of it if I never revealed myself? And that's the cycle I'm coming out of. And I think a lot of people think that I was doing certain things to, like, just be evil, you know, and I really wasn't. It really came down to, I wasn't being authentic or honest about anything. I was so disconnected, so out of union with my own physical body, that I just, you know, it's really, really hard for me sometimes to look back and recreate the circumstances that would make me live in the same way that I was living. That's how intense I feel like I was attracting situations to myself. So now, you know, as it may, it's like, it's just a lot more, it's so much more important for me to recognize and be honest with myself and with those around you, that it is better now for me to have disconnected and cut my losses with things that I know, unfortunately, the truth is, if they don't have the core of me, if they never had it, no matter how disillusioned they may be thinking that I am the connection that they really need, they don't know me, you know. And at the end of the day, if people don't know you, then there's always going to be this really easy way out, this way where it's like, I could or I could not. And that's always a really good way to affirm yourself. If you're, like, in the middle of, like, during this time being like, I just feel like there's part of me that has, like, come into this awareness where, like, you might be someone you've been dating for 10 years, you know, or married to for 30. You might just look at them and you just have this feeling one day where it's like, some of you are really going to see, like, they could know nothing about me, because you wouldn't have, because you're coming into such a profound awareness of yourself. And so, for better, for worse, just appreciate those people who give it to you straight. Because I think also, like, on my behalf, I know a lot of people haven't been able, I've had to kind of just hold that weight of people not being able to identify how much work it is to, like, really hold an experience that people have not come to consciousness to have. So, like, you know, like, so I just feel like it's a good time for people to also understand what was going on in the other end of things, for people who were choosing and committing to this path, who are the ones who are the doing of the Five of Cups, who are making that transition, you know what I mean? Where the physicality of what you experience hits emotional awareness. This is when you emotionally process something, Five of Cups. So there is an emotional processing that has happened, and I think that for a lot of us, we're discovering, oh, hell no. Some people, places, and things from a certain era, or a certain job you worked, or a certain family, or a certain partner you used to be with, or whatever. Certain things that are associated with certain things, like, get wiped automatically, because you're like, there's no way that my boundaries can be forfeited at this time. Just absolutely not. So I think that's really beautiful. We've had 0 cards out. I've just been kind of going off the dome, but hopefully that all really resonates and channels. So let's get a first energy out from Spirit. I'm using the Aquarian Tarot deck because I'm just, like, giving or dedicating this to the Aquarian collective. Oh my God. The Emperor has been out all week. I really think it has a lot to do with Mars and Taurus, because that's the Emperor who is committed, who knows what his Empress is. When Mars is in Taurus, I feel like Mars has standards, Mars has taste, Mars is understanding how to funnel its creative, aggressive, bursting energy. It's when you learn where to funnel it. It's not for everybody, and I feel like this Emperor coming out, yes, because at the bottom of the deck before, it's too distinct. Remember when I talked about there are 2 pathways, one that floods open, the Emperor, one that lets you feel free, like you just got the keys to a brand new castle that you can build however you want to, or one that literally brings you right to the 8 of Swords, like something. But some people are also, it's almost just like sort of collateral damage, or that's what I'm hearing, like some people are kind of just going to end up being collateral damage because by association, like, and they're not scotch-free, there's no casualties. Like, sometimes God also protects me because I know I don't know the truth of what some people people have said behind closed doors or whatever. And so for that part of me too, the shadow that is really discerning, that really doesn't, that will say what it is and once is like, nah, because look at all the stuff that was said behind your back when you weren't aware. You were feeling trapped, but it was actually because of all the things that were being spoken over you. That's why you walked away from that path. So now as you're navigating this new paradigm and this new cycle in the day-to-day and moment to moment, anything that pops up, check in it. It'll feel like two ways. Do you feel like the emperor when you're in that space, like a place of empowerment, like you know where to funnel your creative energy? You know where your creative energy would be put best? Wow, that's the emperor, right? In Taurus, Mars and Taurus. So when we look at Eight of Swords, we think about how much you don't know. These are all the truths that you didn't see. And because I didn't get to see those things about certain people, I have to my creator can tell me that. My creator can whisper to me and say, Alexis, you feel bad right now? That's me telling you what you don't see, what you don't know. People are a lot smarter than they think. Some people, and I often think to myself, the worst people could do is say words about me, But at the end of the day, if I ever had to face it, I know that I would be able to face it because I'd have real concerns, real things that I maybe didn't get to speak out about because I was going through it. But I always respect the information we learn that is future, that is just by things continuing to expand and us getting a wider view. It'll change the focus, So once focus changes, we realize focus is capable of change, which I don't think a lot of us realized. A lot of us were focusing on things and not realizing you can change your focus. And that's where we were trapped forever. Knight of Swords. Yeah, I think we weren't expecting to have to let the chopper sing. That's this Knight of Swords' energy. This Knight of Swords says, fuck your feelings. You know what I mean? And I don't even, oh my God, a descendant. This is what the emperor, because if you choose the emperor path, which is the guidance, which is always look at it from which one feels free, which one feels like you still have space, go to the place where no one knows your name, go to the place where it's completely fresh and only the empowerment that you have from doing the work to become the emperor, which is mastering all 4 kingdoms and queendoms, or I guess just kingdoms because it's the emperor. So once you've done that, all you're going to want to do is get straight to the point. The Knight of Swords also is beelining it to where its truth deserves to be. But that's all because of the work that you've already done, that you're letting live, you're letting support you. So there goes that Knight of Swords. And that's deciding to cut, that's stepping forward as the samurai, 5 of Rods in reverse. And it's because it's just, look at this. 5 of Rods in reverse with the 7 of Swords. These are old peers, community. This is that chatty ass old cycle. That's where are you at? They know you're not there anymore. So they come in with deception. They're concerned about they're like, well, where are you, trying to make you think it's about where you are, when the problem the reason you're not with them is because of all the lies they're holding. So tell them this is what this Knight of Swords says. Whenever you want to get for real about that 7 of Swords that you're hiding, call me. But until then, off. And then boop, 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 he's out. You know what I mean? He's like, doo, 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 doo. And they're like, huh? Where'd they go? Don't let these people who, this is the backbone. They can't have nice things because they need to change their hearts first. Right? You need to change this isn't iron sharpening iron. This is people hurting you on purpose. And they don't have a right to. Because many of them, like you, are novices. So this is you being pitted against. This is not. Also, they're doing all this. They're carrying all this secrets and baggage. Nah. And they can't reveal it. Nah. You don't got to worry about where I'm at. Why don't you worry about, our spirit say, why don't you worry about your kids? Why don't you worry about what's in front of you? Because y'all could look all around, but what you got in your hands will tell you the exact reason why I, as the Knight of Swords, am going in the opposite direction. Exiting stage left. I'm leaving this circus. I do not relate to you, Look at this. Oh my God. Look at this. So, and I feel like with this 3 of Cups, this is Mercury in Cancer. This is going and communicating your feelings. This is moving forward to new horizons. This is the processing. This is the understanding that let's get another card. Let's get another card. Yep. Oh, Spirit's trying to show me something, of course. You're not available. You're not answering. You're not responding to messages. Now it's, and then they're talking about it. They're talking about how you've left their whole reality. You're not even going to be traceable. They're all freaked out because it's like, oh wait, none of us even know how to really get in. It's not real. People are realizing the relationship was not real. And there's this conversation about it and their feelings, but this is also strategizing on, I just get this fake friend energy where it's all like, oh yeah, we'll work together to try to figure out like what's tea. This is the gossip here about like where she thinks she is, blah, 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 bumping gums. But at the same time, each of these people has a vested interest to find out if they can reach out to you and be the one person that who you take their cup. So then, boom, conveniently at the same time, you get bombarded in the ethers. All this shit raining on you because people that you think are irrelevant, people from some time ago that you like opened the door for, and they just like slammed it, didn't even get, I mean, just, it really boils down to these people, like it's on some text go green shit, because these people don't realize that like, yo, you couldn't even just be honest about your past, and so it's your fault that you can't come back in, that my back is turned because I have other ships coming in. Like, it's like texts have gone green, like you can send this, but I really probably won't get the message because there are ships that are coming in, but I feel like it's people who didn't who really, the biggest problem, the reason you were leaving is because there was dishonesty about what they were going through. They made you feel like you were the only one going through certain things, when the whole time so look bro, and there's temperance coming in. When this is, oh my god, this is every time you pause and you diffuse 2222, I just saw those messages come in, this is you alchemizing and throwing it back. That's where your money came from, bro. When the Empress gets, this is her own energy, bro. You trying to do, bitch, I invented this game. That's what Temperance is saying to the Eight of Rods. Y'all think I don't know that it's just convenient that every single person of the same vibration is trying to hit me up on the same tip? But this time they didn't know your bag. I'm not about to fumble the bag for you. For what? For nothing? For false narrative? Physically no longer being there. Temperance is blocking, because look, the King of Pentacles is being shielded by Temperance. Working on your patience has allowed you to be prepared to receive these messages in patience and do the logical thing, which is to push them back out, to protect the fact look, Spirit literally just came back around. You better not invest in this communication that's coming into you, because you just got your head above water. These people think you're dumb enough to finally be breathing for the first time after they literally were dunking your head underwater, not letting you come up for air. They think that they can just go ahead and send you that return to sender energy, and that temperance, that patience you built when dealing with their crazy ass. Yeah, King of Pentacles reversed. We're not building together. Daddy is not home. And he's got his shield up. He's like, that is not... You're not going to get into that, because we're actually starting to build something. So let's clarify, because we've got the same thing that we started with. That's so beautiful. So the Knight of Swords is, you're not getting, like, and people are, and I almost even see this as people sending this Knight of Swords out, like, this group being like, here, you try to text her. Okay, you text her. And each of them is hoping that they can come back to the T and be like, I actually heard from Alexis and she's doing this. But you're not even going to give them that. And they can all try to send as many representatives at you as they want, because all they're going to get is alchemized and ultimately a King of Pentacles in reverse, which is harsh. So let's look at this Knight of Swords. Yep. Trying to come and get your truth. There's a Knight of Swords who's trying to come after your truth. What's going on with you? Knight of Swords coming to the King of Swords. Remember we talked about, like, don't you know I invented this game? They're gonna come up to the King of Swords. They don't know you're the King of Swords. This little junior knight is trying to come and take the sword of the king. Girl, no. Girl, no. The King of Swords said, I wish you would. You're literally watching them walk up to you in the ethers and about to send this. They're so predictable at this point. Five of Rods, the chatty group, look what you walked away from. This is clarifying the Five of Rods. Look at all these raggedy people in the ethers. Like, where are they? Like, what? They're not here anymore. Yeah, Alexis left a long ass time ago after y'all continued to emotionally let me down. Y'all were putting fake cups, fake mirages left and right to keep me around because y'all knew you didn't actually have the range to keep me. So all you could do is manipulate me. This is the wisdom you get after you've gone through, you've removed yourself, and you continue to follow your higher guidance, and you continue to sharpen your sword of truth. So therefore, you're able to continue to process things and give yourself more clarity so that you can actually never repeat some shit like this again. But the Three of Cups. Oh my God. Each of them wants to know if they can get into your most personal, valuable pentacles. And they're going to come in trying to be shady and attractive. They all think that, look at them. Each of these Three Cups, they're like, yeah, I don't know. I don't have any new things to report. But they are so hoping. They know you're guarded. They know you have something valuable you're protecting. And they want to get there like, I'm trying to get in. No, but they know because they know you have something valuable. Eight of Rods, all these attempts, they think it's coming from the same group, the literal Emperor. When we talked about when all these messages come in, choose the Emperor. Choose to respond or not respond based on what makes you feel empowered, like this is still, you got the key to your kingdom still, and not being overrun by swans. So every time it comes in, you're weighing them scales up. Every single time, everybody's heart is getting weighed. So temperance is that process of, it's like, if you're sending something to me, you need to give me 15 to 20 business days to go ahead and go through my purification process, of which I'm going to realize, wait, this is too much time to be spent on a bitch. I'm going to drop you anyways. So what path do you want to take? What option do you want to take? So I feel like that's what temperance is really giving. Oh yeah. And as temperance is taking all that negativity and filling your cups up. This is all the people who can't get in, bro. Y'all gotta stay on the wall. Y'all gotta stay in the stands. Y'all just stay up here. This is decoration. Y'all are nothing but trophies I've collected. At this point, notches in my belt. Because I got the 10 of Pentacles now, bro. And do you see that that's crazy that the 10 of Pentacles shows up in the last card is the King of Pentacles being like, no, you are not included in this picture. King of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh, my God. He says, you are not included in this picture. Eight of Pentacles. I worked too hard. I've already started the foundation. We're getting right to work. And at the bottom of the deck, because that's what they did. Because when you really think about it, if you get outside of your mind, these people that know they did wrong and knew you had the power to cut them off and knew they still chose to manipulate you either way and not be honest with you, and you're just someone who's like, look, I get you're trying to play like whatever games, but I have a real life that you're fucking with right now. So if you could have just been straight up and honest, like I wouldn't have even been in this traumatic of a situation. Like, yeah, that energy has to take accountability because you paid your karma for choosing and attracting that situation. But we're not about to sit up here and act like there aren't three swords in this heart. Like, we could never even be happy. Like, what future do they envision? A fake one where y'all continue to stay connected with this pain festering? And it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes you only get one chance to fuck up in life with people, not because you're being punished, but because, like, I mean, why spend so much time healing a broken heart on the same energy, like hoping and praying and working towards a renewal with that energy, when you can go on a self-healing journey, which would be independent anyways, and just continue to attract people who opt in, and whenever they start opting out, let them opt out, you know? And they can opt out by stabbing three. Yeah, some people, you know, even if they're like, what? No, I still want to be a part of your life. No, you opted out of my life and you couldn't even be honest, you know, about what was going on. And I was telling so many things in confidence to so many people, and I was trusting so many people, you know? But there are too many people on this planet that would never take my trust for granted, and when it comes to this people, like, that's the only people I'd be interested in moving forward when I look at this spread. Because you're all talking. You're all trying to figure out if you're the person. It doesn't matter. Ask yourself this. Do you have blood on your hands? If you do, it's done. It's done here. The King of Pentacles is literally in his bag. He's like, are we done here? I have somewhere to be. Like, return that to sender and block the number. You know what I mean? And so I just feel really, really, really proud right now. And I think we're going to do the living light cards, because I feel like this is us finally, being sort of living and breathing embodiments of the light. So let's get a ending message. Because, yeah, this energy was fresh today on my mind, but I just... So we got completion in reverse and the conscious observer in reverse. So that's super interesting. Let's check and see. Okay, yeah. So contrary, you are trying to force something that is not truth because you want to believe that it is what it is not. Is this exactly what the reading is? God is good. God is good. God said, let me run this back. You are trying to force something. Do some of y'all know someone who's trying to force something that is not truth because you want to believe that it is what it is not? Some of you have had relationships with people, jobs, connections, you name it, views about yourself, certain things that you thought about yourself, you realize it was only because you thought that it was true. It was never true. Or maybe like you had a parent who just thought something enough and that's why shit happened to you. Like maybe they thought you were one type of way or a negative type of person, and so because they thought it enough, you're starting to realize that, oh, I'm leaving these people, I'm walking away from these people because I'm realizing they actually just chose to control everything in our connection. Like they just were trying to make the connection what it was not, because they wanted to believe it was something that it was not. And you're interested in the truth. You're interested in building your castle, King of Pentacles, with the truth. You don't need any of this returned energy. You don't need any of these people who right now in real time in 2022 are still just trying to, it says you are trying to force something that is not truth because you want to believe that it is what it is not. I am no longer doing that. Like I literally just left a whole career trajectory because it is not what I thought it was. I wanted it to be something, but it was never what I wanted to be. And when I leave, all I'm left with are my projections, because everybody always was the same mediocre. I was the one painting them with all of this beautiful strokes, like this was going to be, and it was I'm not doing that anymore. When you impose your will on a situation, the energies become dense and the reality cannot become what you intended. This is what you're telling somebody. You can't just say because you want this, and that's the return to sender energy. That's the energy. That's the transformation that's happening right now. That's why I told you, bro. By the end of literally July, by the end of Leo season of this year, people are going to be in completely different scenarios because it's time for this to move. It's time for this cycle. This is the people who didn't complete their cycle voluntarily. So now the cycle's over. And now that the cycle's over, you're realizing it's like, look, anybody who's out here still imposing their will on a situation, the energies are going to become so dense that the reality cannot ever become what you intend, which is literally just the basic laws of attraction. Maybe it never was. So this is that hard return to sender. You have to set the karmic balance here. The King of Pentacles, this is one of those sort of royal decrees that you need to just step into and say, no, for the protection of my castle, for my people, for my future, this is done. These people who are just trying to keep reality, the way a certain narrative going because that's what they just want to believe. I was never that. I was never that. Don't ever abandon yourself. And I luckily have healed my abandonment issues so that I'm not doing that anymore, because in this day, a lot, like an Aquarius can be overly forgiving because we have abandonment issues because we're so detached. Like naturally we'll just like abandon previous versions of ourselves. So a lot of times I forgive people because I like literally don't attach to emotions. I just carry them in my vase and pour them out. So there's never an identifying with an emotional space. So I dedicated this to my Aquarians because maybe this is really, really, really something that the Aquarian energy had to lead on through learning, by by leading by example. So very big shout out to y'all. But I know Aquarian energy, this would be very difficult because we don't identify with our emotional space in like a intrinsic being. It's not, emotions don't become like the backdrop for Aquarian. So it's very easy for us to feel because we or forgive because we weren't really deeply like connecting with the hurt. So it's really important to have that grounding earth presence in your life. And that's why, like, you know, my partner's amazing for me because he has a stellium of Capricorn energy, and it's really amazing, really grounding. I mean, my Taurus moon is also such an amazing reason why I think I go a step above, like, you know, air sign supremacy all day, but I'm just playing with y'all. But air signs really do help move us for us and keep us flowing, and they teach us of the natural flow. And so I think that it's really important that when you actually just have the balance of whatever your energy is, like, that's really the superior form of being whatever element. So I know that this is where Aquarius finally masters, because Aquarian they are extremely psychic because they are the future. They just exist in the future. Aquarian is not even like present and past. Like, Aquarius is that future domain. And so this is Aquarius mastering how to ground down this is a physical manifestation. You get this because because look, they can send all these messages, and Temperance filters out all the water, leaves you with the cup so that you just got a bunch of trophies and none of the weight. This is letting Temperance help you extract all the emotional weight of what these people are sending you. And if you just keep it light at this time, oh shit, this book is like falling apart. It's really funny. But anyways, if you keep it light at this time and there is a boundary between these emotions and where you are, they can just remain that. They can just be past lessons. You don't have to let them manipulate you. You don't have to let the pain manipulate you. You don't need them for your future. That's another big thing is Aquarians, you know, we're forgiving because we don't really remember the weight of things sometimes. So like Aquarian is a really good placement to have if you're going to go through like high trauma, because you can kind of extract and have that out of body future experience where you're like, well, if I'm still alive, like I made it through the next phase. So we can kind of get through things quickly in that changeable way. But at the same time, like it can be extremely difficult to get yourself to move forward in a grounded way and actually build something, which is also the way, right? Because it's not just the world that needs to catch up to the Aquarius, but the Aquarius is going to get to evolve by being the leaders. So we're evolving the Aquarian archetype to even be sharper, you know what I mean? We can't just rest on our laurels. Like, it's not very Aquarian of us anyways to want to be, you know, an energy that is never going to continually set a future bar. There's always going to be more life. So this is also Aquarian, like, continuing to set the pace for themselves about how we can evolve and how we can optimize what's going on. But yeah, maybe it never was. Like, that's just the most real shit I think if I've ever heard any. So the conscious observer. You are easily led into situations involving conflicts of personality. Wow, these are two different energies. This is a previous, so this is the old paradigm where someone who wanted to control matches vibrationally with someone who is easily led into situations involving conflicts of personality. So this is empath being attached to sort of a manipulative, sort of more so devil energy. And do you see how it's balanced? So it's not healthy for a total experience, but it is balanced in what you're serving because it is a complementary partnership. So I'm seeing there were partnerships that are ending because one person was trying to control something that never was. They never felt this. They never actually, like, it's not actually real. They're just like living out something they want to be real, but it's not what it is. So this partner cannot live out the expectation, or this energy can't live out the expectation that this thing wanted. So God is completing it now. This person can't have this anymore. This energy can't do this anymore. And this energy needs to now have to go and heal their low self-esteem issues, right? Because they're getting led to people they don't want to take ownership ultimately. They don't want to be the owner of their life. They need someone else to do it for them. So this is not like oh, you're abusing this. They're abusing each other and using each other because they need them just as much as they need them. You see what I mean? You often focus your attention on the lives of others, trying to learn from them, even emulating them at times. Look again at what attracts you. And that's what I was doing in my old cycle. I was just going through, and because I didn't know where to start, so I would just look at random people, and obviously we were in the paradigm that we were in, so the standards, the hierarchies of things, like what the examples were going to be so different, right? So that's why I went through a lot of start and stops, because I had to get deeper. I had to not be so superficial. I was giving all of myself to stuff that was paper thin. That was on me. You know what I mean? So whatever end you fall on when you're talking about this dynamic, you see what I mean? And I feel like for the perspective that I read this at, as the person that's saying like all of these past energies, that would be this energy, right? The conscious observer, because now you are consciously observing what's going on. This is, remember, we talked about the Five of Cups, conscious observer. The Five of Cups is when you finally are, you're not in it anymore. The cups are already spilled. You're now going, this is the part, this is the wisdom that comes from future. This is the wisdom of Aquarius, right? So that's what the age of the Aquarian is going to give us. It's going to tell us how things are in the future. We will now be in the future. So therefore we can look back at what we were doing and then now be the conscious observer and now actually bring completion to some of these old cycles, partnerships, ways that we used to come into union with self that would still promote imbalance. Look again at what attracts you, this energy. You are fooling yourself. See things as they truly are and let yourself believe that instead. Dude, I have a feeling this is the message 4100 that I've been wanting to give, dude, because it's finally here. There have been partnerships that I've seen in people that are close to me. Like, you can really see, like we talked about, that more life or more death. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to be reminded of on the day-to-day? Like, what are you growing? What are you cultivating with every breath? And this is finally the message that I know is going to hit so deeply for so many people, because this is going to read so many such a timeline, because this is whatever the past was. This was the past cycle that we're just coming out of, which is there was these two dynamics that the collective was healing from, and these are both aspects of self. This is a toxic divine feminine, toxic divine masculine. This is whatever we had loaded the definition of divine masculine to be, and this is everything that we used to load the divine feminine to used to mean. This is all of that previous belief. The Hierophant gets turned up on its head. We're recreating the whole shits. Recreating the whole shits. So I'm going to wrap the message there, but I mean, it's some crazy... Oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Wisdom in the world. Like, it's... We're restoring the wisdom of the world. We're talking about wisdom. It's so gorgeous, but have a great day. Bye.